This Labor Day weekend, a local historical site takes us back in time and tells us the importance of the holiday. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with how they used a cannon along with other methods to demonstrate.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Mike Mahoney. Officials in Girard, Kansas respond to a house fire with someone still trapped inside this morning. According to the Girard Police Department, around 10 this morning, authorities were called to a house fire at this home at 300 East Prairie Street in Girard. When first responders arrived on scene, they located 65-year-old Gayla Rankins still inside the home. She was transported to Girard Hospital. 39-year-old Samuel Rankins was outside when the fire started. Officials say he suffered minor injuries and was also taken to Girard Hospital. The Kansas State Fire Marshal's office was contacted to assist in the investigation. This Labor Day weekend, the Fort Scott National Historic Site took visitors on a trip back in time. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky checked it out.
This Labor Day weekend, 4 staters have an opportunity to be transported back in time.
We're celebrating Labor Day. Early 1900s, labor unions and the labor movement really came into play, but there has always been a division between management and labor as far as equitable pay for equitable work.
The Fort Scott National Historic Site wanted to educate the public about the meaning behind Labor Day.
So it's bringing all these stories to light and letting the visitors that come here understand what happens and help them to decide.
Which included walking tours around the site.
You get to see all the different areas where people worked and where people congregated, everything from where they cooked to where the officers lived and worked to where we have the artillery.
The last demonstration of the day was a cannon used to show the labor of the fort.
The Dragoons here at Fort Scott had a cannon. Here it was mainly here for ceremonial purposes, but we usually on the weekends when we have reenactments try to fire it. It's very popular, usually have nice crowds to see it go boom.
Ultimately, the historic site's goal was to show how important the fort is to American history. And while it has no official ties to the labor movement, the labor happening at the fort wasn't part of unionized work, but was still through the military and federal government.
It's the labor involved behind that, the support. No activity can happen without support of the labor movement.
In Fort Scott, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Looks like we had some nice weather for Labor Day, but let's check in with an expert. Here's KOAM's Nick Kelly.
We had a pretty good day overall, Mike, with plenty of sunshine after the front with the storms came on through yesterday. 65 this morning, high of 86, pretty much on par with what we should be for this time of the year. And it's nice to see after the front cleared out, the last of it last night. Absolutely nothing throughout the day. Instead of partly sunny skies, we went mostly sunny with hardly a drop of rain on the radar, all because now of high pressure working over the state of Missouri. That will keep us quiet for tonight and heading into Labor Day. But that's going to be an interesting setup in terms of temperatures. With dry air in place, we'll have everybody drop back near 62 degrees, maybe a few spots outside the top and trying to sneak back into the upper 50s. But it's a quick warm up throughout the day tomorrow. 89 degrees, so a bit warm, Mike, but still looking good for Labor Day. We'll see if the rest of the week holds up just as nice here in a bit.
All right, thanks so much, Nick. ABC News reports that Tyson Foods will offer its frontline workers paid sick leave for the first time. The offer is part of an agreement that garnered union support for its mandate that all U.S. employees must get vaccinated against the coronavirus. Tyson Foods says around 75% of its 120,000 employees have now been vaccinated. Tyson Foods, which owns the Jimmy Dean and Hillshire Farm brands, is one of the few companies with a large frontline workforce to impose a vaccine mandate as of now. It is now time for us to honor one of our many four-state heroes. And tonight, we recognize Leon Briggs of Joplin, Missouri. Briggs served as a captain in the U.S. Army and he fought in World War I. He earned 2 Silver Stars while fighting for freedom. Thank you, sir, for your service and your courage. For more information on any of our four-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMnewsnow.com. And we'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus,
people are trying to salvage anything they can after tornadoes and floodwaters rip through the Northeast. I'm Brian Yennes in Mullica Hill, New Jersey. I'll have that story coming up.
We may not have had the best start to the holiday weekend with thunderstorms on Friday and yesterday, but boy, did things improve for the better as we went throughout the course of the day. Behind the passing cold front, you can see how the day progressed from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. We had a start with partly to mostly cloudy skies this morning. Then the cloud cover filtered out faster than expected, so we definitely took advantage of that plentiful sunshine to dry things out and really warm things up with drier air in place behind that passing cold front. In its wake, though, it did leave behind quite a bit of rainfall for some of you. 1.7 inches area-wide in terms of the average, but you can see how the northern counties bore the brunt of the heaviest of the rainfall. In fact, I think the Osage and the Little Osage are still going to be running a little bit high until we hit Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, but at least we're not going to keep adding to those flood waters, certainly with nothing out there this evening, and that's the way it's going to stay as we head throughout the overnight. And with this dry air, light breeze out of the northeast and plentiful sunshine, that played a huge role in temperatures. Everyone started out in the mid to upper 60s this morning, already into the mid to upper 70s around the noon hour, and then some of us pushing into the mid 80s. 85 at downtown Joplin, some mid to upper 80s in northeast Oklahoma. Everyone else looking at lower to middle 80s. So again, this was certainly a much better day, and we're going to keep things nice for tomorrow, but maybe an upward trend in our temperatures. We'll explain why in a moment here, but you can clearly see with the clockwise flow of the winds, high pressure is sitting right over the state of Missouri. In fact, there it is on our surface map. There's the main cold front that brought us the rain and storms to start the weekend out. Then we'll focus on this front. That could try to make things a little bit interesting come Tuesday, but as long as we're staying on the cooler side of the jet before this upper ridge starts to build back in, we'll still keep things a bit below normal for our Labor Day as we get that officially underway for tomorrow. In fact, everyone drops back with all this dry air in place, a light breeze, and mostly clear skies into the lower 60s. But because of the dry air in place, we're going to see a quick warm-up throughout the day, pushing into the mid-80s by noon. And I would not be surprised if we can easily push into the upper 80s for afternoon highs. So our Labor Day this go-around, it looks good from start to finish. Sunny skies all day long. A light south and southwesterly breeze will send us from 62 in the morning to 84 by noon, and afternoon highs right around 89 degrees. Another good cool down as we head through Monday night into Tuesday morning, this time around, let's say mid to upper 60s. Then on Tuesday, a weak front wants to come on in. Ahead of it, though, we'll stay a bit hot with highs around 90 or 91 degrees, but that front could try to trigger a few showers, so that's something we'll keep an eye on for Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. But the big story here, this upper ridge wants to slowly start building back in Thursday, and certainly as we head toward the weekend. Even with a random rain chance on Friday morning and even on Sunday morning, the emphasis is that upper level ridge definitely wants to bring some of that summer heat back into play. But we're looking good for tomorrow. A mild start and then a quick warmth to 89 with sun and plenty of it on our Labor Day. Let's go 90 on Tuesday, mid-80s for Wednesday and Thursday with lows in the lower 60s. Then we'll have to head back into the lower to middle 90s for much of the weekend ahead. Mike?
Well, thanks as always, Nick. One of the most powerful storms in U.S. history has devastated two parts of the country in less than a week. This week, President Biden will get a look at the aftermath of Ida in New York and New Jersey after paying a visit to the Gulf Coast last Friday. Fox News' Brian Yennis has the latest on the recovery.
New environmental concerns about the damage caused by Ida. The Coast Guard says a private dive team went out Sunday to try to locate the source of an oil spill just off the Louisiana coast, one of several potential hazards authorities are responding to across the Gulf Coast. In New Orleans, authorities hope to fully restore power by Wednesday. The rest of the state may take a lot longer, possibly up to a month or more, after Ida wrecked power lines and critical infrastructure that will take a long time to fix.
Utter devastation, like a bomb went off.
In the Northeast, the cleanup effort is still in its early stages. The roads here littered with trashed belongings and ruined vehicles. Residents are going through waterlogged homes to salvage anything they can. Many are unsure of where they'll go next.
You think we can get an apartment right away? I don't know. That's remain to be seen.
The rainfall coming in a downpour that shattered records and did not let up for hours. The sudden deluge overwhelmed sewer systems, causing floodwaters to rise rapidly.
And then it got here. And my kids were screaming, we have to leave the house. But I looked out and there's probably 12 cars floating in the street.
Damage assessments are still ongoing. A disaster declaration approved by President Biden should free up federal funding to help speed up the recovery efforts. President Biden will be visiting New Jersey and New York City on Tuesday to assess the damage, which in some cases is catastrophic. In Mullica Hill, New Jersey, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
We've got an update from Afghanistan right after this short break. And domestic flights have once again resumed in Afghanistan, but one Republican congressman says there is still trouble when it comes to air travel in the desert nation. Details are next. A Texas congressman says Americans are sitting on board half a dozen planes in Afghanistan waiting to be flown out of the country. But those planes are not being allowed to depart. Fox News' David Spunt has the latest.
An alarming allegation from Republican Texas Congressman Michael McCall, who says Americans are sitting on 6 planes at the Mazar-e-Sharif Airport, some 265 miles north of Kabul.
They are not clearing the airplanes to depart. They've sat at the airport for the last couple of days, these planes, and they're not allowed to leave. We know the reason why is because the Taliban wants something in exchange. This is really, Chris, turning into a hostage situation where they're not going to allow American citizens to leave until they get full recognition from the United States of America.
This is a satellite image from a company called Maxar from 2 days ago of Mazar-e-Sharif Airport. You can see 6 planes in the satellite photograph. Fox News cannot say with certainty these are the 6 planes that Congressman McCall mentioned to Chris Wallace, but we're showing you that there are 6 planes. Afghan officials told the Associated Press there are many Afghans also on board. A senior U.S. official confirms to Fox News work is being done right now to identify those on board. Fox News national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin traveled exclusively to Ramstein Air Base in Germany with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley. Milley met with several evacuees, one that even served as his interpreter more than a decade ago. Jennifer asked General Milley if he believes U.S. troops will eventually have to go back into Afghanistan.
I think that would be a very difficult policy choice. I wouldn't say yes or no to anything, actually. I think it's too early to say anything like that at this point. But right now we need to continue to monitor the intelligence situation, and we need to continue to see if these terrorist organizations that threaten the United States are going to develop or not.
State Department officials estimate there are around 100 Americans still remaining in Afghanistan. In Wilmington, Delaware, traveling with the president, David Spunt, Fox News.
Domestic air travel has resumed in Afghanistan. The flights had been suspended following the takeover by the Taliban. But they resumed over the weekend with the state-run Ariana Afghan Airlines operating between Kabul and 3 provinces. This is happening despite the fact that there is no functioning radar system at the airport in Kabul. Last week, a team of technicians from Qatar and Turkey arrived in Kabul to help restart operations at the airport. The United Nations says the airport is crucial to providing the country with humanitarian assistance. There's no word yet on whether any commercial airlines will be willing to fly out of Kabul's airport. Fahim Dashti, the spokesman for a group that is fighting the Taliban, was killed in a battle in Afghanistan today. Dashti was the voice of the anti-Taliban group. He was also a prominent media personality during previous governments.
Calculating different elements, effective elements, internal, external, regional, worldwide elements, I do not think that we will go to another civil war. I do share the concern of the people, no doubt about it. But there are some positive points that we can count on, as such as the raise of capabilities and abilities in the number of the national security forces.
Dashti was also the nephew of Abdullah Abdullah, a senior official of the former government who is involved in negotiations with the Taliban concerning the future of Afghanistan. All right, when we return, the pandemic is taking a gruesome toll on some Oregon communities. And things have gotten so bad, some counties are requesting portable morgues on wheels to help lighten the load. That story and more are next. Welcome back to your News at 9. With COVID-19 hospitalizations and deaths climbing across Oregon, some smaller communities are running out of room, and not just in hospitals, but also funeral homes. 2 counties are now asking for help from the state to store bodies. Fox News' Bridget Chavez has more.
Tillamook and Josephine counties are the ones who requested these refrigeration trucks. Tillamook County says they already have theirs. They expect to hook it up and start using it this week, while Josephine County says they expect theirs to arrive later on this week.
Not only are hospitals in Oregon reaching their limit with COVID-19 patients, but now smaller counties seeing COVID-19 deaths spike don't have enough space to store the bodies.
We only have one funeral home, and the death rates have exceeded the capacity of the local funeral home, who requested to see if I could get a refrigerator truck to help with the overflow that they're experiencing right now.
Gordon McCraw is the emergency management director for Tillamook County. He tells me things there are getting worse, and the funeral home there can only handle 9 bodies at a time. The truck they have now is from Klamath County, and Gordon says they'll start using it this week.
There were 8 deaths in August. Prior to August, we only had 5 from the beginning of this thing.
In Josephine County, emergency manager Emily Ring tells me they're not in crisis mode yet, but they've also made the request for a truck to store bodies.
Mass fatality events can happen quite quickly and can kind of cause a cascade of domino effects within small rural communities like ours. So it's always good to be able to reach out and have some resources in play. We're not at that point yet, but like I said, the reasons for concern are becoming more evident.
Ring says they're still working on a final agreement, but expect the truck to get there later this week. McCraw says Tillamook is now seeing a test positivity rate for COVID-19 of more than 20%. That means for every 100 people tested, at least 20 are positive. He's urging people, if they haven't already, to get vaccinated.
If you're on the fence right now whether you should get the shot or not, now's a good time to get it. And if you thought we cried wolf before, the friend of mine's put it the best. He said, the wolf's knocking on your door.
And to put this more in context of what's happening in Tillamook County, McCraw says last month in July, they had 81 total cases of COVID-19. This month in August, so far, they're at 699. His plea again, if you have not gotten vaccinated, do so immediately.
The Made in America show made a smashing return in Philadelphia this weekend. The hip-hop music festival jammed people into Benjamin Franklin Parkway with music from acts like Megan Thee Stallion, Doja Cat, and A$AP Ferg. The artists tried to inject the crowd with some energy after a rough few weeks. The festival was canceled last year because of the pandemic. This year, attendees showed a health pass guaranteeing a negative coronavirus test or a COVID-19 vaccination, and they had to wear masks to go to the show. Some folks were just thrilled that the festival even happened after residual rains from Hurricane Ida caused severe flooding near the concert area. We'll be right back with more news. Some popular Nabisco snack treats are in high demand by supermarkets as a Nabisco workers' strike could affect supply chains. According to the Wall Street Journal, grocery stores are stockpiling popular Nabisco cookies like Oreos and Chips Ahoy, as well as Ritz crackers and premium saltines. Workers at Mondelez International, the parent company of Nabisco, started a strike in early August. The employees walked out over the company's decision to lengthen shifts and cut overtime pay. A Mondelez spokesperson says manufacturing at its facilities has been fully operational despite the strikes. Well, stick around. We have got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, police in our nation's capital are looking for answers after suspects shot into a crowd, killing 3 people. That story and more are next. Three people were shot and killed in northwest Washington, D.C. last night. Local law enforcement says officers responded to the area after hearing gunshots just after 7:30 p.m. They say suspects exited a vehicle and fired into a crowd. 3 others were injured in the shooting, but fortunately their injuries are considered non-life-threatening. Police are working to figure out why the crowd was targeted. Many businesses are looking for new employees, including driving schools. But one school in Las Vegas says if they can't hire new instructors soon, they won't be able to help drivers get back on the road. Fox News' Sophia Periconi has more.
Connor Hull says it took him months to get into driving classes because of instructor shortages. He now believes this will impact safety on the roads if schools continue to struggle to hire.
We advertise everywhere to get instructors. We're in desperate need.
Kathy Kelly, co-owner of Safeway Driving School, says driving schools aren't immune to the employee shortages that thousands of businesses are facing. She believes extended COVID-19 benefits, which end Saturday, are stopping her from hiring and keeping instructors.
We've had 14, and now we're down to like 3.
It's becoming an issue new drivers are starting to feel. New student Connor Hull says it took him 2 months to even schedule classes.
With how hard it is to, get in, how hard it was for me to get in, I'm actually lucky to even have the dates that I have to, do the driving on the roads and be able to learn all this stuff.
And Kelly says finding instructors is about to get even harder. Typically, new teachers are required to take 30 hours of driver's ed classes plus 5 hours behind the wheel. Starting September 1st, Kelly says the DMV is changing that.
DMV would like some type of certificate stating that they have done some type of instruction anywhere, and I guess in any profession.
If they don't show proof of any type of certification, the training goes from 35 hours total to 115.
Is anybody going to wait that long to be employed, once they start, if they ever come back to work?
As of right now, even before the changes go into effect, Safeway doesn't have enough instructors to get new students in until the middle of November. Connor says his girlfriend is one of those waiting, but he's using his luck to help her in the meantime.
With me helping try to, do this, I can also help them learn a little bit, be able to prepare them for the driver's test.
But while he tries to do his part until more people can get on the books, he's concerned about the long-term effects of instructor shortages and what it'll mean for the safety of the rest of the valley on the roads.
We definitely need to be able to understand what it's like to drive on the roads, be able to pass on knowledge of how to properly be safe on the roads.
Kelly also believes that ever since businesses reopened, the roads have become more dangerous, which is why she feels like she needs to hire even more instructors as soon as possible.
We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather.
We may not have had the best start to the holiday weekend with thunderstorms on Friday and yesterday, but boy, did things improve for the better as we went throughout the course of the day. Behind the passing cold front, you can see how the day progressed from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. We had a start with partly to mostly cloudy skies this morning. Then the cloud cover filtered out faster than expected, so we definitely took advantage of that plentiful sunshine to dry things out and really warm things up with drier air in place behind that passing cold front. In its wake, though, it did leave behind quite a bit of rainfall for some of you. 1.7 inches area-wide in terms of the average, but you can see how the northern counties bore the brunt of the heaviest of the rainfall. In fact, I think the Osage and the Little Osage are still going to be running a little bit high until we hit Tuesday or Wednesday of this week, but at least we're not going to keep adding to those flood waters, certainly with nothing out there this evening, and that's the way it's going to stay as we head throughout the overnight. And with this dry air, light breeze out of the northeast and plentiful sunshine, that played a huge role in temperatures. Everyone started out in the mid to upper 60s this morning, already into the mid to upper 70s around the noon hour, and then some of us pushing into the mid 80s. 85 at downtown Joplin, some mid to upper 80s in northeast Oklahoma. Everyone else looking at lower to middle 80s. So again, this was certainly a much better day, and we're going to keep things nice for tomorrow, but maybe an upward trend in our temperatures. We'll explain why in a moment here, but you can clearly see with the clockwise flow of the winds, high pressure is sitting right over the state of Missouri. In fact, there it is on our surface map. There's the main cold front that brought us the rain and storms to start the weekend out. Then we'll focus on this front. That could try to make things a little bit interesting come Tuesday, but as long as we're staying on the cooler side of the jet before this upper ridge starts to build back in, we'll still keep things a bit below normal for our Labor Day as we get that officially underway for tomorrow. In fact, everyone drops back with all this dry air in place, a light breeze, and mostly clear skies into the lower 60s. But because of the dry air in place, We're going to see a quick warm-up throughout the day, pushing into the mid-80s by noon. And I would not be surprised if we can easily push into the upper 80s for afternoon highs. So our Labor Day this go around, it looks good from start to finish. Sunny skies all day long. A light south and southwesterly breeze will send us from 62 in the morning to 84 by noon, and afternoon highs right around 89 degrees. Another good cool down as we head through Monday night into Tuesday morning, this time around, let's say mid to upper 60s. Then on Tuesday, a weak front wants to come on in. But ahead of it, though, we'll stay a bit hot with highs around 90 or 91 degrees. But that front could try to trigger a few showers, so that's something we'll keep an eye on for Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. But the big story here, this upper ridge wants to slowly start building back in Thursday, and certainly as we head toward the weekend. Even with a random rain chance on Friday morning and even on Sunday morning, the emphasis is that upper level ridge definitely wants to bring some of that summer heat back into play. But we're looking good for tomorrow. A mild start and then a quick warm to 89 with sun and plenty of it on our Labor Day. Let's go 90 on Tuesday, mid-80s for Wednesday and Thursday with lows in the lower 60s. Then we'll have to head back into the lower to middle 90s for much of the weekend ahead. Mike?
Well, thanks again, Nick. And Nick, check out this unsettling aerial footage that was shot yesterday. It shows thick smoke billowing up from the Amazon jungle in Brazil. And you can see the aftermath of a fire that tore through a section of the rainforest that had been cleared. The video shows how the process of deforestation has been advancing deeper into the jungle. Authorities say that last month the number of fires in the area was well above average for the third consecutive year. Brazil's President Jair Bolsonaro is being criticized for encouraging development in the Amazon while working to weaken environmental protections. Stay tuned, sports fans. We'll be right back with Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Frontenac Raiders opened up their season with a big 20-0 win over the Columbus Titans, a little revenge after the Titans won the matchup last year. The Raiders defense kept the Titans off the board the entire game. On offense, Justice Compton and Mario Magnini each had rushing touchdowns. Quarterback Colin McCartney connected with Aaron Doria to get the scoring going in the second. And here's Frontenac head coach Mark Smith's thoughts on McCartney's playmaking ability.
It's huge. The big part is he kept his poise when that happened, and he just found the guys. The receivers did a good job getting open, and those were in some big situations, 3rd and long and stuff like that. So big plays gave us a lot of momentum, and it kind of led us to victory.
This Saturday brought a lot of exciting games in college football. The Oklahoma State Cowboys opened their season at home against the Missouri State Bears. OSU just outside the AP Polls top 25. First quarter, Shane Illingworth finds Tay Martin in the end zone for the 5-yard touchdown. Later, OSU going the other way, Jalen Warren right down the middle. The Cowboys lead 13-0. Then LD Brown takes it to the outside. He goes in for the score. Missouri State battles back, but OSU gets their first win, 23-16. Staying in Oklahoma, the Sooners open up against Tulane. A close one for the number 2 ranked team, but Oklahoma holds off Tulane, winning 40-35. The Sooners score 3 on the ground and 1 in the air. Spencer Rattler goes 30 for 39 with 304 yards. If that's not enough football for you, this week the NFL begins. The Chiefs host the Cleveland Browns on Sunday at 3:25. The voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, joins us in the studio, and he's got a comprehensive breakdown on the new look offensive line.
You make the trade for Orlando Brown Jr., you go pay Joe Thuney, expensive but a good player, and then you get rookie opt-out guy. But the 2 rookies, they hit. And we get a lot of OU fans that watch this. Creed Humphrey's been outstanding. Trey Smith could be an Offensive Rookie of the Year candidate at right guard. He's been fantastic. What it does with those young offensive linemen who can move now is bring back Coach Reed's 2013, 14, 15 playbook of the screen game. And it's some countermeasures to what people do to try to slow down Mahomes. And so back when they had Rodney Hudson at center, now with Creed and Trey Smith, you're going to see a lot of different stuff offensively.
We'll have a lot more from Mitch at 10 and on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. In Major League Baseball, let's talk about Salvador Perez. He blasts 2 home runs in Saturday's contest, getting to 40 on the season. He's the first catcher since Javi Lopez in 2003 to reach the mark. Today in Game 3 against the White Sox, here he goes again. Home run number 41 is a 3-run blast. And on the mound, Brady Singer pulling his weight. He strikes out 6 in 7 shutout innings. Later, Whit Merrifield singles to shallow left. Edward Olivares scores. Royals shut out the division-leading White Sox 6-0 and take the series. The Cardinals on the road, their final game of the series against the Brewers today, leading 5-1 into the bottom of the 9th. Milwaukee scores 5 in their last effort to get the walk-off win. Huge comeback for the Brewers, disappointing for the Cards. Tyler O'Neill 3 for 4 today with 2 RBI. We'll be right back with more news.
Welcome back to your News at 9. An Arizona man took his love for tree houses to the next level, and that can be seen in his one-of-a-kind home. Fox News' Ty Brennan checks it out.
For a Valley architect, Justin Martinez, he didn't let an abnormally shaped lot or an irrigation ditch or a giant tree stand in the way of the home he wanted to build. Instead, he incorporated them right into his design.
It has a lot to do with my childhood and, hanging out with my friends and building tree forts and different stuff like that. And obviously growing up in the north where there are a lot of trees. So I saw the water, I saw the beautiful cottonwood tree, and I knew there was a lot of potential there.
The floor plan is inverted, so the living space and kitchen are all upstairs, while guest bedrooms are downstairs to have the tree as the focal point of the home.
Yes, you could see it more of a challenge because I definitely wanted to integrate it in, and I knew, I could do something amazing like this.
In total, it took 3 years to build, taking special care as to not hurt or disrupt the giant cottonwood's roots.
A lot of people, when they walk by, I get a lot of positive feedback on it. They love it.
And Justin, proud to live up in the trees.
Love enjoying it, having people over. It's kind of an entertaining house, a place to have fun. That's what we love.
People who are interested in pursuing a teaching career while owning their own home might want to consider moving to the Golden State. The website Redfin says California is home to the 5 most affordable metropolitan areas for teachers looking to buy a house. The research was based on statistics from last year. After analyzing teachers' median disposable incomes, researchers found that overall Merced, Fresno, Riverside, Modesto, and Bakersfield were the most affordable areas. Merced in particular gives teachers the most freedom when it comes to spending. The study says last year the median salary for a teacher in Merced was just shy of $100,000. Meanwhile, the median annual home ownership expenses came to about $35,000, meaning Merced teachers had a median disposable income of more than $64,000. And I know that because a teacher taught me subtraction. All right. A young entrepreneur in Colorado is known as the Popsicle Man because of the tasty treats he sells. But after he was robbed, the community stepped up to show him there's still plenty of good in the world. Fox News' Deborah Takahara has the details.
This thing weighs about 80 pounds full, and I tug it across the grass.
Asher Swan is known in his neighborhood as the Popsicle Man.
Popsicles, which are the otter pops I sell. The chips, the airheads, the blow pops.
He started his business at the beginning of the summer and was doing quite well until Sunday evening. He left his 6-year-old brother with his wagon in the shade while he went to see some friends who were at the park.
Next thing you know, he checks on it. He comes down crying, saying that there's no cooler and there's no money.
Asher's mother says the boys didn't get a good description of who took their cooler and money box, but Asher has a message for those thieves.
1, it's not right to steal from another kid, and 2, it's not right to steal from another person that worked harder than you.
His mom posted the story on Nextdoor. A neighbor found the items a few blocks away, and lots of others found it in their hearts to donate to Asher.
My mom put up the Venmo account on there, and then I got like $1,000 in donations, and it was obviously too much, so we're going to donate it to the 9/11 bike rally.
Asher says he has felt so much love and support the past few days and definitely knows now there is more good than bad in the world.
When all my stuff got stolen, I thought, wow, there's a big dark side in the world. And then when all the comments were pouring in, I was like, there's a much bigger bright spot.
We are not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, you're going to meet twin baby girls in Israel who can finally look at each other for the first time. And you'll learn why right after this short break. Welcome back. It is time for an update on the very latest from Tinseltown. Here's Fox News' Ashley Dvorkin.
ABBA returns, Maverick moves, and Netflix is on notice in the Hollywood nation.
Special Agent John Hartley.
Netflix shared a look at the epic-scale globe-trotting adventure Red Notice. The flick stars Dwayne Johnson as an FBI profiler, teaming up with the world's greatest art thief, played by Ryan Reynolds, to try and catch the world's most wanted art thief, played by Gal Gadot. The action kicks off on the streamer November 12th. A highly anticipated sequel heading to theaters is delayed again because of the pandemic. Paramount Pictures is now postponing Top Gun Maverick until Memorial Day weekend next May, due to the spike in COVID cases and the Delta variant. Mission Impossible 7 is also pushing to September 30th, 2022. Westeros is heading to Sin City. An official Game of Thrones fan convention has been announced for the Rio Hotel and Suites in Las Vegas next February. It'll be a 3-day event with special guests, panels, and cosplay, of course.
What you're gonna see when you come to this show is us.
And you can dance, you can jive to new ABBA music again. The Swedish pop supergroup announced they're releasing their first album in 40 years called Voyage, November 5th. They'll also perform a series of virtual concerts in London using digital avatars next year. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Here's a great story to end the show on. 1-year-old Israeli twin girls who were born conjoined at the back of their heads can make eye contact for the first time. The two have undergone separation surgery at the Soroka Medical Center in Beersheba, Israel. The procedure took more than 12 hours, with dozens of experts from Israel and abroad taking part. Mickey Gideon, Soroka's chief pediatric neurosurgeon, says the operation has only been carried out 20 times worldwide, and this was the first time in Israel.
We're just finishing the twin separation procedure. It has gone extremely well. I'm delighted how well the whole team's done. It's an excellent team here, and it's been a real pleasure to be a part of it.
Reuters reports that the twins, whose names aren't being released to the public, are recovering nicely and breathing and eating on their own. Hey, well, thanks so much for spending some of your holiday weekend with us. I am back tomorrow for Labor Day, so be sure to stop by for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.